Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest trade of the NBA trade deadline just went down as James Harden is being traded to the 76ers. There's a lot of stuff I have to unpack, so of course, before I get into the content, please leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new, blah, 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 notifications on. I just want to get into this trade because I'm super hyped, so let's get into the video. So there was one trade that we knew that was going to be going down, and that was James Harden to the 76ers. We didn't exactly know who was going to be getting traded because there was a lot of speculation. We had people saying it was going to happen, some people saying it wasn't going to happen. And finally, within 2 hours until the trade deadline ends, we officially have the news that James Harden is going to be traded for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and some draft picks. I say draft picks very vaguely because we don't have an exact number on if it's some first rounders or second rounders, but I would like to think it's at least a first rounder. What's funny is about 30 minutes before the trade was officially announced, a lot of people thought that this wasn't going to happen because the 76ers did not want to include Tyrese Maxey or Matisse Thybulle. And a lot of people on Twitter were saying that the 76ers were dumb if they were willing to not have a James Harden trade just because of Matisse Thybulle. And if you've seen any videos on my channel where I talk about the fact that he's one of the more underrated defenders in the NBA and he could damn well be a defensive player of the year candidate, I wouldn't have made that trade either. The fact that they were able to give up Ben Simmons, who was already going to be traded, and I think we all knew the idea that that was going to be the swap that was going to have to be made, but they also gave up Seth Curry, which in my opinion, that's a really good trade because Seth Curry at the end of the day is just a really good spot up shooter. Yeah, he can kind of pass and facilitate the ball, but he's just a shooter. Now for the Brooklyn Nets side of things, I think that they really got a good deal with this trade. First of all, you got Ben Simmons, and he's not going to exactly have to be one of the bigger shooters. He can be a playmaker, he can be someone really good on defense, and overall they can run a small ball lineup. I still do wonder what's going to happen when Ben Simmons does come back because yes, he's not playing in Philly obviously, but we have to look at the fact that he has not played basketball in months, and has he been working out? Realistically, I think Ben Simmons is going to perform a lot better, especially with the fact that he's not playing in front of the 76ers crowd and that he's not going to be getting booed in Brooklyn, I don't think. Now from the 76ers side, there's no doubt in my mind that this was a really good trade for them because obviously they got James Harden and they got to unload on Ben Simmons, which I thought should have been their main focus in free agency, and now the NBA trade deadline. In my trade deadline video, I said that yes, that needed to be their main focus. And well, they were able to get James Harden, who at the end of the day is still a talented player. We need to consider that fact, but the question is he going to even be on the 76ers next season if they don't win is a question in itself. You also have to look at the fact that they were able to keep Tyrese Maxey, who a lot of people think is going to be a future all-star, and I like Maxey. I think he's very talented and he's going to be good in Philly. Obviously, they can keep Matisse Thybulle, who is a really good defender. Obviously, he's not one of their more top players necessarily, but he is someone that I felt like that they should have tried to keep in trade negotiations, but at the end of the day, if they would have traded him for James Harden, I wouldn't be mad necessarily. I think Brooklyn would be getting a great player, but I was just kind of hoping they wouldn't do that. It's really hard for me to say, oh, I think this team won the trade or that team won the trade, because at the end of the day, yes, Brooklyn is going to be getting the less best players with Ben Simmons, and you have to look at the fact they're also getting Seth Curry, and those draft picks are probably not going to mean much. But I gotta say, I think Philly easily wins this trade because the fact that number one, they were able to unload Ben Simmons, number two, they got James Harden, which could be a locker room cancer per se. I don't think he's going to be, hopefully not, but it really just does depend on how it is. Yeah, they're not getting any extra players besides James Harden, and maybe there's some picks on their side involved. They didn't exactly say because Shams just got the news and I'm just making the video as it came out. But I gotta say, today's NBA trade deadline has been very impactful and crazy, and there's been a lot of other trades going on. Within the last like 2 minutes of the video, I'll discuss all the other trades because a bunch of people did get traded, and some smaller trades, some were pretty good trades as well, but I have a lot I want to uncover in this video. Okay, we have more breaking news in this trade, and it involves that somehow, I don't know how, but the Brooklyn Nets got Andre Drummond out of this. Now listen, obviously Andre Drummond isn't the big time center he used to be, but that's still crazy to me, the fact that they were able to get him. And to be honest, I don't think Andre Drummond is the deciding factor in me saying, oh, Philly no longer wins the trade, I gotta give it to Brooklyn. At the end of the day, these are two good teams now, and I still think Brooklyn could improve and hopefully fix their win streak. You know, they had the opportunity to be a really good, I guess, super team or big three, whatever, and now that that's broken up and they replace James Harden with Ben Simmons, I will say though, I'm gonna stand by the fact that I think that the 76ers are benefiting a lot more because yeah, they didn't get as much players. They got rid of Ben Simmons and got Harden, which at the end of the day is very important to me. And this also does ask the question, are the Philadelphia 76ers the contenders to come out the East? I want to remind you that they were doing really good without Ben Simmons, and I'm not saying if Ben Simmons were to join that, oh, their whole funk would have been messed up, but now you have James Harden, who when he wants to can be a 30 points per game scorer. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the first 2 to 3 to maybe even 5 games are going to be a little bit off. Be ready for the 76ers to lose a couple games. However, right around after that period of time, I think the 76ers are going to lock in. They are going to have already been together for some time, and it's going to be a really good scene to see. Joel Embiid is playing like the MVP. James Harden can play like the MVP whenever he wants to, and they still were able to keep guys like Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, and a lot of their other role players. Now, with all of that being said, I do have the 76ers coming out of the East. I just think that it would make the most sense, especially with the way they've been playing in general with Joel Embiid and all he's been doing. I think this trade definitely will service that. Brooklyn is currently at the play-in spot, so if they do want to win, they need to win games like right now. We're about almost 50 games in. In fact, I think we are 50 games in, so they have to turn it around. They only have 30 games left. If Ben Simmons can be a 15 points per game scorer while being a really good defensive player and being someone that can be a playmaker, I think they're going to be fine. I really would have rather they given up Kyrie Irving, but you also do have to remember the fact that James Harden wanted out, and it wasn't, okay, we want to get Ben Simmons, let's just get rid of one of our players. Because I really do think that if you have a playmaker like Ben Simmons and you have a guy like James Harden who can score, and Kevin Durant is obviously a top scorer of all time, that it really would have been a service to them, because Kyrie Irving is a part-time player, and that's the only reason why I would have traded him, not just because of his antics, I guess, if that's how you want to word it. However, with the lineup looking somewhere along the lines of like, and this is just for home games with guys like Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, Kevin Durant, I think Andre Drummond may or may not start at center, I'm not entirely sure. That is definitely not a bad lineup that the Brooklyn Nets could run. I feel like both starting lineups for both said teams are going to be a little bit shaken up, because obviously the Brooklyn Nets just brought in like 3 new players, so they're going to have to adjust their lineup, and the 76ers now have James Harden, and you got to figure out where you're going to put him. In the comment section below, I do want you to tell me what you think about this trade, if you think it was a W for the Sixers or an L for the Nets, or maybe both of them had W's. Personally, I think both got a W. For the 76ers, you obviously got James Harden, who is an MVP caliber player every single season. Yes, he's kind of struggling this year, but don't you think that it has something to do with the fact that he doesn't want to be there? Yes, they did give up guys like Seth Curry and Ben Simmons, who was not playing at all, and Andre Drummond, and I think some draft picks as well, but I still think that's a good trade. So I would give the 76ers a W, and with the Brooklyn Nets, you got 3 new players, you got rid of Harden, who didn't even want to be there in the first place. So I think it's safe to say I gotta give the Brooklyn Nets a W for this. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for this video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys leave a like on this and subscribe to the channel if you're new and notifications on. I'm going to be updating you guys about trades in my Discord. The link will be in the description below. The trade deadline is about to end in 2 hours, and if there are any more big trades like this, I might make a video on it. I'm not entirely sure. I wasn't even going to make this a video necessarily, but I just wanted to as soon as I saw the news. I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Have an amazing day. Take care. Peace.